Hello, friends. Welcome to Heidi's Colorful Colorado. I'm your host, Heidi Ganal, a wife, mom of four, CU Regent, and the founder of Camp Bow Wow and the She Factor. With a passion for keeping the spirit of our state alive and well, I started this podcast to bring the people of Colorado together to celebrate the amazing state we call home. Come along on this journey with me as I travel across our old country roads in my vintage RV, interviewing folks that embody the true spirit of the Rocky Mountains. From the Front Range to the mile-high city to the wild west of southern Colorado, we'll celebrate the history, beauty, and Coloradans that make this place the colorful state it is. Each week, you'll meet people trailblazing the way for an even more colorful future for us all, making a huge difference along the way. Are you ready for a Rocky Mountain ride? Let's do this, Colorado. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heidi's Colorful Colorado. Today, I have a friend and a colleague and someone who does really amazing work that I'd like to introduce you to, who recently moved to Colorado a little over a year ago. So I'm going to talk to her, too, about her journey to get here. But I'd like to welcome Steph Kwong. Steph, I'm so happy to have you here today.
I am so grateful to be here, Heidi. Thank you for having me on your show.
I'm just thrilled to have you here. I'm thrilled for people to meet you and hear what the kind of work you do. And it's called Subconscious Rewiring Coaching.
Yes, you got it.
Nailed it. Which sounds really complicated, but it's not. It's really an amazing process that's helped me become a better business leader, a better mom, better lots of things. But Steph, first I want to take a step back and talk to you about your adventure, your journey to getting to Colorado.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So I got here a little over a year ago, a year and 2 months, and it was unexpected because I always swore that I would never live anywhere where it snowed. I love sun, I love beach, I love heat, and so it was unusual for me to end up here, but it was for an amazing purpose, which was for love. I actually met my current partner in Los Angeles. He came out for it was called Expo West. It's a natural products conference. And we had mutual friends. I went to go see my mutual friends at their Airbnb, and in walks this handsome man, Matt, and they canceled the show right when he got there and my friends got there because it was right at the start of COVID. It was March 2nd, and no one really knew what was going on with this whole COVID thing. Do we continue to do large events or do we shut it down? And so they shut it down. So my friends and Matt, they all had an entire week to spend in Los Angeles. And I usually keep my social life pretty busy, but for some reason, I just kept canceling the things I had to do every night to hang out with them. And then by the end of that week, we just connected, really heart, soul, energy, and intimately. And then he went back to Colorado, lives in Golden, up in the mountains. And we talked for a week. And at the end of that week, we're on FaceTime and he goes, "Hey, you should come quarantine for a couple of weeks. I think it'd be fun." And I said, "Okay." And there's a part of me that's very logical, linear, organized, structured, has a plan. And there's a part of me that's just like, whatever, let's just do what feels good. And so I let that part of me decide, packed up my car that day, and at 12:30 in the morning, drove out with my dog, 15 hours straight shot. But that's how excited I was also to get here. And the intention was to be here for 2 weeks. I got here March 16th and I have not left. So it's been a beautiful journey to getting here, and it's been a really beautiful journey staying here too.
And it's been a pretty snowy winter. So how have you navigated that?
I cried many times. I have dreamed about beaches and warmth, and we're actually going to go to Destin, Florida in about a week. So I'm excited for that. But it's been bearable so far. I did have some breakdown moments, like when it was still snowing a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And we're up in the mountains, so we get snow while it rains down in like Boulder area and Denver. And I said to Matt, I go, "Baby, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe we have to like split time. We're winters, we could go somewhere warmer." And then because the summers and spring here are so fantastic.
Yes, they are.
And the fall.
It's a hidden secret. We shouldn't talk about it. I know, seriously.
Well, even if people try to come, they won't find a home anyway.
Seriously.
My situation with trying to find a house right now. It's because Colorado is such a wonderful place to live that I think everyone is now flocking here and realizing that city life isn't always the best life,
There is kind of an exodus out of the cities right now. And so I grew up in Southern California till I was 12, but I've been back and forth to both cities, LA and San Diego, quite often, living there for a couple of years here and there. And you're from LA. So talk about what it's like. Let's just go there. What is it like to be somebody from LA moving to Colorado? Do you get like a lot of crazy looks or like smart aleck remarks when you talk about being from California?
Surprisingly, I don't get weird looks, but if I'm being totally honest, I do miss a little bit of the diversity because I am in the minority here now, and it was never the case. I was born and raised in California in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then I was in Los Angeles for 18 years. So it is a transition that way. However, I found people still to be very welcoming and accepting. I've definitely toned things down, I think, a little bit in the ways that I dress in my car, things, just because it's nice that people don't care about image as much out here. If, again, full honesty, it's like Los Angeles was so rampant with that. And it's the who you know, what do you do, and all of that. And here, I feel like people just care more about who are you? Like, what is your heart? What matters to you? And that's very refreshing. And I always tell people back home, one of the many things I love about being in Colorado is that I feel like I can exhale here. It feels like a giant exhale where I can relax, because in the cities, especially LA, it's like go, 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 go. And I was built to go, 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 go. That's how I was trained and conditioned to be, based off of having immigrant parents, you know. But I think my true nature isn't one that wants to continuously do versus be, and to enjoy and to exhale and to relax and just enjoy life. And I believe that that's a big part of what Colorado has done for me.
I think that's beautifully said. And, you know, I think the mountains have that effect for some people, the beach for other people. I mean, I think both are amazing at bringing you down and getting you centered. So when you moved here, what did you notice about like doing business here? And we can talk, kind of transition into what you do for work, because it's fascinating. But is it a different vibe? Is it the same? You talked about a slower pace, but and plus you moved here during COVID, so that's a bit different. But what's your take on the business community here?
So I was part of when I first got here, a kind of social networking, co-working space in Boulder. And I loved it. It was more high-level entrepreneurs. And it's so cool to be in that energy. I love creative people. I love people who have a vision and they go after it. So it was nice to be surrounded in that. And I feel the difference where I was coming from is much more service-based versus here it's a lot more product-based or e-commerce. But still that same passion and drive to create and to do something for the world and to make some sort of impact. My business has been mainly online. So I feel very fortunate that during COVID, it was not really affected as much. Plus, I'm more in the mental health space, so that actually needed to increase during that time. So that was also another big blessing. But I just I feel here too, there is a drive, but it's a relaxed drive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Versus in the cities, it's like a frenetic drive to build and create with the entrepreneurs. And I've just felt a little bit of difference that way here.
Yeah, and I like to talk to people about Colorado. Like the spirit of Colorado is no limits. It's like reach for the mountaintops, really push yourself, do things that you wouldn't normally do, and stretch your capacity. And so I think that's part of the entrepreneurial vibe here too.
Yep.
But not in a frenetic way, more in a, hey, I'm going to support you. I'm going to have your back. And that's what it feels like the entrepreneur community does here. Mm-hmm. And we actually met through She Factor, my company with my oldest daughter. Yep. And she interviewed you for the podcast or had you as part of one of our summits. Mm-hmm. And got to know each other that way. And then you kind of came on board with our team at She Factor to help us reach some new limits and navigate COVID and everything. We were transitioning from live events to digital events. So I want you to talk about how you got into this work, because you had a very different career before this. And then we'll talk about kind of how we worked together and how that's changed things for me.
So I started off working in the entertainment industry. Very different from what I do now, very much ego-driven, but it was also very creative. You're bringing a project to life, and I love that. However, who I was being in the industry was very different. I was very much in my masculine. I was very much in my ego. Who do I know? What am I doing? All that. And I mean, I was young too at the time. And I had one of those moments where I felt very disconnected to my soul and I'm very unhappy. And so I did a check-in and I said, you know, what's going on? And I came up that I needed a shift. And so I started to look back on all the things that actually brought me fulfillment in life. And it was always when I was serving. So I actually got turned away trying to volunteer at the SPCA when I was 9 years old. My friend Dina Lannerman and I walked in, and the guy looks at us and he's like, what do you ladies need? And we're like, we're here to volunteer. And he goes, how old are you? We're like, 9. And he goes, yeah, you're too young. And so I've always been on that quest. So I was a candy striper in a hospital. I helped just volunteer at my mom's friend's nursery to hold babies. I trained to do the suicide hotline. I went to UC Berkeley, and there was a lot of homeless. And so I worked with the homeless population there. Got to Los Angeles, was working with homeless, with at-risk youth foster kids. So there was always this deep passion to contribute and give back. And I realized that that's when I felt the most fulfilled, but I never thought I could actually make money off of it, right? That was always something that you just do to give. And so when I left the industry, I started working, or I was looking for a job, a bridge job in between, and I ended up getting a job running operations at a live-in weight loss facility. Now, over the course of time, I started listening to Tony Robbins on tape. My mom bought him off of the infomercial, and I'm listening to him.
Awake the Giant Within.
Yes. And
on the cassette recorder.
Exactly. That's exactly how we listened to it. And my mom, I watched her going to Vision Quest and working in therapy and doing drum circles for her own healing. And so this was kind of embedded into my DNA. It was so unusual for an immigrant woman to be even searching for personal development. So I feel very blessed in that way. And so I was on my quest starting at a very young age, and had always done personal development work. So when I was at this treatments or this live-in weight loss facility, there was a young girl who came up to me and said she had just binged and purged the night before because she felt very alone. They had their own private apartments. And she asked if I knew of anybody who could stay with her because she wanted to not participate in that behavior. And she goes, I'm looking for someone on Craigslist. And I said, oh, no. You're not going to look for someone on Craigslist. You're here for 3 more weeks. I will come. But I'm in a leadership course right now. So I'm going to go to my class, and then I can come over afterwards. Does that work? She said, yes. So I started going over there, teaching her everything I learned. And 2 weeks later, my landlord said, you got to move out. We're moving back in. I told her, I was devastated. I love my place. It was right on Abbot Kinney in Venice Beach. And I told her, and she said, well, if you have no home, come to Italy to coach me. I know. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
What? And she goes, yeah, I was looking for a coach because she experienced me coaching her. And I was talking about that from my course. She goes, and I wanted you, but I knew how much you love living here. So I didn't even ask, but if you have no home, come to Italy. And I said, are you serious? She goes, yes. And I said, well, I want a contract. She's like, great. Connected me with her mom, signed a contract, gave my 2 weeks, and boom, off I went to Italy to work with her. And I had that background again from, my own personal healing. So I knew what was the genesis of her eating disorder and supported her in healing that. 6 months later, came back to the United States, got officially trained, and continued training over the course of since 2009 now when I started. But the big key 7 years into my career was understanding that the biggest change that you need to create is within your subconscious. So many modalities out there or, practices of healing are very much on the conscious level. So therapy, listening to podcasts, reading books, talking, any sort of talking conscious level work. And that's why, or even going to retreats or conferences, it's all on the conscious level. It's not getting down to where the root is, which is in the subconscious beliefs, right? It's also in the somatic, in the body, where all this old energy is stored, where the traumas are stored, where our beliefs essentially are stored as well. And that's the work that I'm really passionate about, is getting deep into the subconscious to rewire and upgrade the system so that people can experience their limitlessness, right? We become so bogged down by the conditioning of what we were born into, whether it's the family, the culture, the society, our peers, and most of it creates limits on us. And we create limits within ourselves too, based off of experiences that we have that we misinterpret as children, that are usually misinterpreted into beliefs like, I'm not enough, I'm unlovable, I can't have that, it's hard to have the things I want, I'm stupid, whatever that is. And those are those self-imposed limits that we can misinterpret from events that we have. But if you do not change them, that creates your destiny, because you continue to move through life holding onto that blueprint that keeps creating experiences to reinforce the beliefs that you have. And then people wonder, why do I feel stuck? Why do I keep having the same things happen over and over again? Well, because we're going to create experiences that reinforce what we believe. And until you change those beliefs, you're going to keep having the same thing over and over again and feel very limited or stuck. And again, my work that I'm passionate about is how do I get people unstuck and back out of those limitations so that they can expand and really show up as their best selves and their most expanded, limitless selves.
Well, and that's one thing I noticed from working with you is that it's very tactical. It's like, it's not just, hey, let's talk about it and then let's meet again and talk about it some more. It's, hey, here's some breathing work you can do. Here's some, different ways you can talk to yourself about what your limits are and how you can break through that. Here's some activities you can do. So I really enjoyed that part of the process. And right now, people are really stuck after being in their houses for over a year and just having their lives so closed in, right? And so I think a lot of folks are really looking for tactics on how to open themselves back up to experiences, to relationships, to new opportunities now that they've had a year in their house to think about it. What advice do you have for them, Steph?
Well, I think the big key first, you can't change what you can't see. And having that isolated time to me was quite a blessing because a lot of your stuff started to come up, right? You started to observe maybe patterns or habits that weren't really working for you or patterns of thinking. If you were willing to become self-observant, of course, maybe some people didn't even see and they were just in a place of being taken over by their beliefs and their emotions in that time. But even now, start to self-observe. What are the thoughts that consistently run in my mind? Because those thoughts are associated with the core beliefs that you have, which are usually the things that are standing in your way. If you want to know also what's in your subconscious, look at your environment around you, right? Do I live in abundance or do I live in lack? Look at your bank account. What do I believe about money, abundance, lack? Look at your physical body. What do I believe about what I deserve on how to take care of myself? Look at the people you have around in your friendship circles or your family dynamics. How are those? And it'll really reveal to you what you believe. And then you can assess, are these beliefs working for me or are they not? Are they really having me elevate and expand and become limitless? Or are they closing me down and keeping me stuck? Because that's the only thing that keeps you stuck is your thinking, your patterns of thinking. And when you can get in then and start to rewire those, and there's so many different ways that you can rewire. I love going through not just the mind, but also through the body, the somatic, because we have to move a lot of the stuff that's there, the traumas and the energy. But you can also just begin by writing down all the things that you believe and then starting to rewrite those and doing different things that you can do to imprint those new beliefs into your system. One thing that you can do, and I think we talked about the magic 30 at nighttime. This is a key for a lot of you guys to use. 30 minutes before you go to bed and 30 minutes when you wake up. You're actually in a natural hypnotic state. Meaning your brain waves are slowed down. You're around in like that theta alpha state, brainwave state. And during that time, you are actually the most suggestible. So when I put people into hypnosis, I'm putting them into that brainwave state, meaning the linear part of their mind, the judger part is relaxed so we can access different parts of the brain, the ones that also connect to the subconscious. And whatever you suggest to somebody or even to yourself during those times, when your brainwaves have slowed down, they actually have a faster and an easier way of getting into your subconscious. So you need to protect that time because what do a lot of people do before they go to bed or right when they wake up?
We were talking about me watching Handmaid's Tale, which is really dark. And I'd stay up till 2 a.m. watching. She's like, don't do that.
Yeah. And I was watching Breaking Bad, right? We're binging on it right now. And I'm like having dreams about Walter White and Pinkman, which is not healthy. And they were like very disturbing dreams. And I was like, because whatever you put into your mind during those times, especially before sleep, right? You're going into bed, you're staring at social media, you're thinking about all the things that you're stressed out about, who didn't call you back, how high or low your bank account is, all those things, your kids, it creates stress in the physical system, which doesn't create good sleep. And then whatever you're putting into your consciousness in that magic 30 time, you go to bed and your subconscious marinates on it while you're sleeping. So it goes deeper and more embedded into your mind and your body. And we don't want to do that. We want to put things that actually support us towards who we want to be and what we want to achieve and create. So during that time, if you rewrite some of your beliefs, just look at what you've written down if you take the time to do it, and then rewrite it to a positive statement. I am or I have, and write out what you would need to believe in order to have what it is that you desire or to be who you want to be. And during that time before you go to bed, look at those, review those, start to really feel into them and use that beautiful magic 30 times. Same thing when you wake up in the morning, do not grab your phone. I'm looking at Daisha over here with her phone. It's like, put your phone down. Don't grab it first thing. Like, take that time to say what you're grateful for. Right when I wake up, before I allow my mind to attack me, right? Because it's like your mind's waiting there. It's like, come on, girl, wake up. And right when you wake up, it's like, all the things all the things you have to do today, or whatever.
And the dog and cat is looking at you like, feed me, and the kids are like, hey, where's my iPad?
Exactly, right? And then you're like, ugh, and then you wake up frenetic and you're just in reaction. Don't do that. Be in response, right, to what you want or choosing to do. Take control in that time and use that beautiful time to embed again in what do you want to believe, right? Or what do you want to wire in? And so what I do, and pick a mantra, you can do this. What is something that I want to really start believing so that I can create what I want? And for me, I'll have different ones that I work with at different times. But my key one that I use all the time right when I wake up is thank you.
Nice.
Before my mind has an opportunity to go, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. And I keep saying thank you until I'm actually able to have more control of my mind and to choose my thoughts. So that's one that I recommend, or just find something that will serve you and what you're up to, and really just start focusing on what you want instead of what you don't want, because that also creates a big difference. I mean, I could go on about this, Heidi. I know we only have a short amount of time, but I got lots to share. Yeah.
Well, and I think gratitude is such an appropriate thing to focus on right now, because we've had so many things taken away from us, so much joy taken away from us in the last year and a half. But if we can, and maybe we're extra grateful now for the things that we missed out on, like just walking into a busy coffee shop or a restaurant, or, being able to go hang out with your friends and not have to wear a mask, and just going to a college football game. Like, I'm really excited about that back at Folsom Field. But I just think it's going to be such an amazing experience to kind of go through those things for the first time after COVID. And so maybe focusing on that and the gratitude that we feel, and for our health too, if we're made it through, and even if we got COVID, if we're doing okay, and navigating that. But well, thanks, Steph. This has been amazing. And I'd love to have you back on to talk more about some of these tips and ways that we can navigate life after COVID.
Yeah.
And becoming more grateful and becoming more in tune with what we want to accomplish. And I think we had a lot of time to dream too while we were sitting at home.
Which is something to be grateful for. Yeah. I mean, I love that time, honestly. I know that I was in a new love, so of course I have a lot to be grateful for that. But there's so many things of slowing down and all the little things that we actually don't see the day-to-day that are such blessings in our life. And so often I feel like we just get distracted by shiny objects or things to do. And we think that those are the only things to be grateful for. But time alone is precious. Time with your family, time to slow down, time to be able to create and not have FOMO because you're missing an event, so you can actually work on a project that you love or find a new hobby, which I know a lot of people did during that time of COVID. So there's so much to be grateful for. And yeah.
I think the dogs are ready for us to go.
Let's do it.
They're like, get out of the house. Come on.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so I like to wrap up with the question, and you're pretty new to Colorado, so this is going to be fun to hear. What's the most Colorado thing you've done since you've been here, regardless of COVID?
So I spent a lot of time in nature, which I'm very thankful for. And I also want to mention that while I was a beach girl, and I never understood my friends who were like, I love to hug trees. I love nature. I love to ground in the earth. I'm like, what are you talking about? I love to sit in the sun and have toes or sand in my toes. I get it now. Like, I love the mountains, and it's so healing. And so one of the most Colorado things I've done is climbing down the side of a mountain, well, parking off the side of a highway in Carbondale, going down the mountain and sitting in a natural hot spring. It was literally, that mountain was drizzling hot water down. If you sat too close to the end, though, you'd burn your butt. But it was so amazing to just sit. And then there was rocks, and on the other side was like a freezing cold creek. Yep. It blew my mind. I think that's very Colorado.
Right? That's pretty Colorado. Talk about, too, we were chatting about what your boyfriend and his friends do, which it just makes me cringe.
Me too.
Yeah.
So they love cold therapy. So a couple different things that they've done. One is off of our house, there's a big trail, and they would, during snowfall even, or if there's just a lot of snow, they would take their shirts off, be in shorts and just like boots and hike and breathe. Crazy. Again, warmth, sun. That's what I'm about. And then another thing they did is they got into the Boulder Creek when it was frozen over. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing. They were in there for 5 minutes, and then I actually decided to take some product shots. My boyfriend has a CBD company, so I was like, hold the bottle. And I was trying to get a good shot, not realizing they were in for another probably 5 minutes. So I think they were in for 10. And he comes out and he's like, baby, I think I need you to change me. And I was like, what? He goes, I can't feel my hands.
Oh, no.
So we had to go into the men's bathroom and strip him down. And he was literally like stuck like this and couldn't move his hands. I don't understand, but.
Well, thanks, Steph. I'm so grateful to have you here and so grateful to have you in Colorado. You do amazing work, and I know you're working with some really amazing entrepreneurs here, but we're just blessed to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Heidi. You are one of the biggest blessings that I have in Colorado, you and Tori. I know she's in Oregon, but when she comes back here for her visits, but I'm really thankful for you and your extraordinary team too, and just for the opportunity to be here to share on your show and just for who you be. You make a big difference.
Thanks,
so thank
Steph.
you.
All right. Well, we'll have you back soon to give us some more tips and get people out and about and achieving their big dreams.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us today on Heidi's Colorful Colorado. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And definitely follow me on Instagram to keep up with my latest adventures. In the meantime, happy trails from me, Heidi Ganahl.